The market for cholesterol drugs is a large one. Nearly 1 in 3 American adults has high cholesterol, according to the CDC, and heart disease and stroke are two of the leading causes of death in the United States. Now, Esperion has an experimental drug for cholesterol that was shown this week to reduce levels of so-called bad cholesterol, or LDL, by 18% in a clinical trial compared with placebo. That's when it was given on top of common drugs called statins. A key question, though, is how this drug will compete with what's already on the market. Statins like Lipitor are now generic. They're very effective, and they cost just a few dollars a month. There's also a new set of drugs from Amgen, as well as Regeneron and Sanofi, that lower cholesterol levels even more, but they're given by injection, and they're quite pricey. Joining us now to discuss all of this is Esperion CEO Tim Mayleben. Tim, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having me, Meg.
So tell us about these new data and where you see your drug fitting into that paradigm if it gets approved.
Sure. So the data that we announced earlier this week, as you said, we dropped cholesterol, or bempedoic acid, as our drug. It's important to note that it's an oral once-a-day pill, and it demonstrated that you could lower cholesterol by 20%, as you noted, on top of the most prescribed drugs, statins, and was safe and well tolerated as well. And what we see this drug being used as is for, as you mentioned, the 1 in 3 people today who are taking a statin or taking the maximum dose of a statin that they can tolerate and not getting to their LDL cholesterol lowering goal. And by putting bempedoic acid on top of those drugs, patients can get to goal. So again, 1 in 3 patients, we think, will be able to get to goal that are not getting to goal today.
And these patients typically are patients that have had cardiac events, so a heart attack or stroke. They're on maximum statin dosages, and they still can't lower their bad cholesterol. So this helps them reach that last step?
That's right. And I think it's important to note that this term maximally tolerated statin connotes, if you will, that there is a problem with tolerability with statins. And what we've seen so far in our clinical studies is that bempedoic acid doesn't seem to cause the same muscle aches and pains that statins have been known for. And so we think that could be an important differentiator for our drug. Again, it's an oral, it's a once daily pill. And so super convenient to take. And again, the results have been very good efficacy, 20% LDL cholesterol lowering, which we know can get 6 or 7 million patients to their goal.
A key question for your drug is the safety, and that came up earlier in the year when you had a trial which looked like there may be some safety concerns about the drug. This one seemed to allay some of those fears, this new study, but JP Morgan came out with a note still pretty skeptical about the data. What can you tell us about the safety?
What I would say, first of all, we call ourselves the lipid management company. And the reason for that is we have assembled what we think is probably the greatest concentration of lipid drug development experts anywhere in the world. And so we are looking at this data. So just to remind, we have 4,000 patients that have enrolled and taken our drug, most for more than a year. And when we put all of that data together, and this is one of the announcements that we made earlier this week, when we put all of that data together, our drug looks as good as the sugar pill or the placebo that we had the patients not taking our drug taking. So very, very well received.
FDA approval is expected. This could hit the market in 2020. So let's talk about pricing. And Meg had alluded to this. You're expecting your price to be, what, $3,500 list price. It's an oral, as you had mentioned, pill. PCSK9, which is the new class of cholesterol inhibitors, they're priced at $14,000 annually. So how is it that you're able to price your drug at a quarter of the amount of this rival drug? And how do you think that will sort of determine what sorts of patients opt for your treatment as opposed to PCSK9s?
Yeah, so, I would start out by saying that from the beginning, we have said, and again, I would highlight that most of the folks on our team have been involved or were involved in the development of statins. So we have a history, a legacy in the development of LDL cholesterol lowering drugs. And we're developing a new drug now that can complement statins, but for the many, not for the few. So not the few patients that have super high levels of LDL cholesterol need a specialty drug like the PCSK9s that you're talking about and have to inject themselves every couple of weeks. Our drugs are really positioned for the many patients, the millions of patients who are taking the maximum dose of a statin that they can take, but still need additional LDL cholesterol lowering. And in some cases, that's no statin at all. And for those patients, we have a convenient once daily pill that they can use and get their cholesterol down to their targeted goal.
So when you look at your company's pipeline, you're really a pure play. This is what you're focused on. How are you looking at business development in terms of acquiring a partner outside the U.S. to potentially help you sell the drug, or are you looking to build out your own internal pipeline, or both?
Yeah, sure. It is the key business question that I think we get from everybody. And our philosophy has always been we're going to put a structure in place from a commercial standpoint that will benefit our shareholders. So if that is a worldwide partner, it will be a worldwide partner. If it's a more regional partner, which is something we've talked about more recently, or emphasized more recently, then it'll be a regional partner. But we're also open, as lots of companies like us, we're also open to more strategic considerations as well. I think at the bottom of all of it, though, is we have incredible conviction that what we're doing is valuable. And it's going to benefit millions of patients who don't have good options available to them today. And, I would just highlight that my own wife is someone who has genetic cholesterol issues. She was born with very high cholesterol levels and is also someone who can't take a statin. So I've lived for a long time now with someone who experiences what a lot of patients across the U.S. have experienced.
Would she be taking this drug?
Would love to have her be taking this drug, absolutely.